Pre-game, post-game, every game. Presented by Bodog. Make a play at Canada's choice for free casino games, sports odds, and poker strategies. Wadden and JPat here with you. It's the pre-game edition as we get you set for the Canucks and the Wild. And JPat, it looks like Old Faithful Thatcher Demko going to be back between the pipes for the Canucks tonight.
Yeah, this is another one of those somebody's going to win. Minnesota's 0-3, the Canucks 0-3-1. And after the night off in Columbus the other night, Thatcher Demko goes back in goal. And let's be honest, the Canucks need more from him. They need more from everybody. We'll get to some of the lineup changes in a sec, but he is their backbone. They need that kind of goaltending from Thatcher Demko. And you look at the numbers, not only is he 0-3 on the season, but a 4.48 goals against average and an 847 save percentage. So those aren't Thatcher Demko-like numbers. It speaks to some of the breakdowns defensively in front of him. But here's the other thing to consider. Lifetime against the Minnesota Wild, and there's not a huge body of work, but like the season itself, Thatcher Demko is winless against the Wild in 3 attempts, 0-2-1 lifetime with a 3.69 goals against average. So you'd like to see him raise his level of play. You hope that the guys in front of him play a little bit better, but the Canucks turning to their ace, and we'll see if he can deliver a victory here on the final game of this 5-game road trip.
Connor Garland was a surprising scratch the other night. He's going to be back in. Looks like Nils Höglander, though, is going to be eating some popcorn in the press box.
Yeah, Garland's going to skate on the line with JT Miller and Ilya Mikheyev, according to the morning skate. And I didn't like the Garland scratch in the first place. I just thought 3 games in, it felt like message sending. And I guess that's what Bruce Boudreau was hoping to accomplish. But a $5 million veteran player who, while he hadn't lit up the score sheet, hadn't played that poorly either. He's got a goal in the season. He scored in Philadelphia. That's his only point. But you look at the underlying numbers, the Canucks have outshot opponents 20-15 with Connor Garland on the ice. So controlling the play is individual Corsi in the early going this season, up over 55%. And here's the statistic that I think really worked in Garland's favor, and he didn't deserve to come out. They gave up 6 goals in Washington on Monday night. He wasn't on the ice for any of them. He hasn't been on the ice for a goal against this season. And you can't say that about a lot of the other candidates that could have come out of the lineup, but Garland gets back in there. We'll see if the message was sent to him, if the message was sent to the team as a whole, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Connor Garland will do in his return to the lineup, playing on that line with Miller and Mikheyev.
And perhaps there could be some changes on the blue line. Looks like Tucker Poolman is going to be a game-time decision.
Yeah, and this is, again, concerning. Didn't play in Washington, played in Columbus, played 18 minutes, didn't get shifts in overtime. You wouldn't expect that, but he did have shifts late in the third period, so it wasn't like he left the game. So he got through the game in Columbus, and now he's not part of the morning skate after a full team day off yesterday. And they could say he's a game-time decision, but the fact that he wasn't out there for the morning skate, it does make you wonder what exactly is the health and condition of Tucker Poolman, and can he be counted on to be an everyday player for the Vancouver Canucks? And in the early going this season, the answer is no. And so we'll see what happens if he doesn't play. Riley Stillman was out there on a third pairing along with Kyle Burrows, and still no sign of Jack Rathbone, who was out on the ice after the morning skate, getting put through his paces. And that's always the indication of a guy that's not going to play later on tonight. So you do wonder about Jack Rathbone, all of this losing, all the goals against that the Canucks have given up, and they still can't find a place for this 23-year-old to make his season debut.
High expectations in Minnesota this year. However, the Wild off to a slow start, just like the Canucks.
Well, yeah, we said 0-3. And for as well documented as the Canucks struggles have been this season, Andrew, they're 0-3-1, but all of their losses, of course, have come on the road. You can't say that about the Minnesota Wild. A 113-point team last year, and they're 0-3 with all 3 of their games so far at XL Energy Center. So that's a massive concern for them, because if you look at the schedule, after tonight, they go out on the road for 5 straight, and 8 of their next 10 are away from home, so they really haven't taken advantage of home ice off the hop, and some of the numbers just jump off the page. The fact that they've been outscored 20-12 so far overall, but more than that, their troubles have come at even strength, where they've been outscored 13-5 so far. So if you're the Vancouver Canucks, 5-on-5 play has actually been pretty decent. Maybe that's an area that you can exploit with this Minnesota team, because at even strength, it's really been a struggle in the early going for the Minnesota Wild.
Let's get to my best bet now. I started off the season 3-0. I took my first loss of the year last game for the Canucks. However, I feel confident about this one. JPat, he's back in his hometown. Now, he might not score a lot in Minnesota, but I feel like he's going to score tonight, get his first of the season. I'm taking Brock Boeser, anytime goal scorer, at plus 250. I feel like he gets off the schneid tonight.
I like that selection, and I'm going to dovetail right into my do something candidate. I know usually we have a little bit of breathing room between the two segments, but Brock's my guy. Homecoming, it's the only game the Canucks play in the state of Minnesota this season. Remember when he had the broken wrist, I think there was probably some concern in Brock Boeser's camp that is he going to be ready? Is he going to be back in the lineup in time for the 5th game of the season in Minnesota? Well, yes, he is. That's the good news. The bad news for Brock Boeser is he's still looking for that first goal of the season, and he hasn't played poorly. He has 3 points in the 4 games, but this is a goal scorer. This is the guy that talked about 30. So a homecoming game, still looking for that first goal of the season. And with all of the backstory and the passing of his father, you know that he's going to have family and friends on hand for his only visit to St. Paul, Minnesota this season. He should be fired up. You hope that the Canucks would be fired up for him. And I just think it would be an incredible storyline if he could do it for Duke tonight and find a way to put a puck in the net. So I'm looking at Brock Boeser. There are other guys on this team that also have to step up, whether it's Tanner Pearson looking for his first goal. Vasily Podkolzin still hasn't scored. Nils Höglander's not going to play tonight, but he has yet to find the goal-scoring column as well. But Brock Boeser, they need goals from this guy, and we'll see if he can come through tonight. So Brock Boeser is my do-something candidate in this hockey game this evening.
Double whammy for Brock Boeser tonight. Liking that. High expectations from both of us. All right, before we get out of here, a little news of the day from the Canucks, and it's the Reverse Retro, the 2022-23 edition of the Reverse Retro jersey. The NHL releasing that today. Your thoughts on the Canuck? They went with Johnny Canuck as the logo. Don't mind the color scheme myself, however. Are they too scared to break out the Flying V?
It certainly seems that way, and I'll be upfront. I'm not a huge jersey guy. I always find that if they win hockey games, the jerseys look pretty good. If they lose, it doesn't really matter what they're wearing. But I know that this gets people foaming at the mouth, and I've seen all the chatter on social media, and that's exactly what the NHL wanted when it did this, universal release across the league, all 32 jerseys. The Canucks is fine. It's underwhelming. I feel like I've seen it in different formats, whether it's the Abbotsford Canucks wearing a good portion of this. Of course, the color scheme is the same that we've seen in various incarnations here in recent years. I don't get why they won't give the fans what they want, and that is black and red and yellow, and maybe you flip it and you come with a white and that Flying Skate logo. Or to me, there feels like, you said the Flying V. Again, if this is a limited release and it's only going to be used a couple of times, why not? But I just feel like there are other options here that would have been better received, I think, by the fan base than this one that's okay. But if you remember back to the last time with Reverse Retros, that was in the All-Canadian division, the COVID, no fans in the stands, and maybe that was a good thing because the Canucks were winless in the 4 games that they wore those Sprite can uniforms. So we'll see if they have a little better luck when they trot out Johnny Canuck at the NHL level.
Do you like the Canucks Reverse Retro jersey? Well, leave it in the comments below, and if you agree or disagree with JPat's Do Something candidate, we'd love to hear from you.
There's another do something candidate I would consider here, Andrew, and that is Dakota Joshua. We always talk about the Minnesota Wild, and we talk about Jordan Greenway, and he's making his season debut, and Marcus Foligno, and they certainly have some size. You wonder, with Nils Höglander sitting down and Dakota Joshua getting another opportunity, if I can have 2 do something candidates, I think Dakota Joshua is my other. And I'm not saying that he's got to, single-handedly fight both of those guys I just mentioned, but you know that they're going to be physical. They go to the net, they bump goaltenders, they have a presence in the hockey game, and we just haven't seen that from Dakota Joshua. And if he's going to play and Nils Höglander comes out, there still feels to me like there's this thinking of, well, we've got to have this, big, strong 4th line, this sort of typical 4th line. How about this? How about you just go with your 12 best forwards? And Höglander hasn't played poorly. I know that there hasn't been a bottom line, but and kind of the same things that took Connor Garland out of the lineup the other night. Yeah, you want to see more, but I don't think that Nils Höglander has necessarily played that poorly. So Höglander sits. I guess if Garland can sit, anybody can sit at this stage. It's Höglander, but it just kind of feels like there is going to be some pressure on a guy like Dakota Joshua to earn his keep here and start to make a name for himself and prove that he can be an everyday NHLer. When you look at this Minnesota team, I mentioned a couple of big guys. Obviously, their biggest guy is Kirill Kaprizov, who is off to another decent start. He's got 5 points in 3 games, but he's -8. We talked about the goal scoring at 5-on-5 and the defensive woes. So Kirill the Thrill, it's been a bit of an uphill battle for Kirill Kaprizov, but a game breaker. And the Canucks have seen that in his limited time in the National Hockey League. Anytime Marc-Andre Fleury sees the Canucks at the other end of the ice, I think the Flyers' eyes light up. Lifetime lifetime against the Canucks as a Penguin, a Golden Knight. I guess as a Blackhawk briefly. You kind of forget that he was in Chicago and now in Minnesota. But Marc-Andre Fleury, 13-3-2 all time in the regular season against the Vancouver Canucks. And I just want to throw one other note in there quickly, and that is that this is Alex Goligoski's 1,000th National Hockey League game. So an incredible milestone for anybody. Kind of the veteran journeyman guy. You don't talk about him an awful lot, but you don't take any shortcuts to 1,000 games in the National Hockey League. So nice milestone, and I'm sure he'll be saluted tonight. But the Vancouver Canucks want to spoil Goligoski's party. They want to spoil the Minnesota Wild's party, and they want to get that first victory of the season. Don't want to come home off the road skunked heading into the home opener against the Buffalo Sabres on Saturday night.
Somebody's going to get their first win tonight. Will it be the Canucks? Well, we'll find out. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page, please do so right now. And if you aren't following us on your favorite podcast platform, please do so as well, as we'll have the post game for you as quick as we can after the final horn. All right, JPat, like I said, somebody is going to get a W tonight. Let's see if it'll be the Canucks as they try to put a bow on this road trip. This has been another edition of the Rink Wide Vancouver podcast, presented by Bodog. For Jeff Paterson, I'm Andrew Wadden. Remember, Rink Wide is the show that always scores.